All right, looks like we're live. I'm gonna listen to this Elon Musk, Alex Jones, Andrew Tate podcast again, where they were talking about Alex Jones coming back to X and just see what's going on with it. Just set my Apple Watch. Got 5,000 steps on there. Get it going. And start our treadmill right here. Kick up the speed a little bit. I'm gonna do a 2.9 today. Slowly increasing it as we do this. And we'll add more steps later as well. But let's turn on our podcast here.
Population should increase, and we should become a multi-planet species and make life multi-planetary. We'll build a self-sustaining civilization on Mars, and then ultimately this will be long after I'm dead, probably, but well, almost certainly. We can go to other star systems and go out there and I don't know, maybe we'll find some long dead alien civilizations. And I don't think we want to be one of those lame one planet civilizations that never got beyond, its home planet. I mean, we gotta, what are the aliens gonna think of that? It's like we got to make a good showing. Team Human.
Well,
Let's go.
And that would absolutely that would be certainly disappointing. But it's essential and truthfully, it's so amazing we'd even speak about these things. Only 2 years ago, you couldn't even speak about these subjects, but it's so pertinently obvious to anyone who pays attention. And it is scary. And expansion and humanistic views are certainly the way to progress. And it has to be done. There's no other way. Just like a business, just like you guys said, if you stand still, you die. And it takes a few brave people to break the matrix. You have to break the dam. And I think bravery is so important because it puts a crack in the dam and it shows that if there's people out there brave enough to risk getting canceled, risk lawsuits, risk lawfare, then it's going to inspire bravery amongst the rest of the populace. And it becomes extremely hard to lie to brave people. And I think that that's one of the largest pandemics of Earth today is bravery. And when I say bravery, I don't mean that in any kind of negative connotation. Bravery is being full of love and loving the people around you and sticking up for your community and loving where you live and loving your country. And it's brave to do those things. And it's love.
What do the globalists teach us? Children are bad. We're ugly. Humans create, all this racial division. They want us to hate each other, so we just give up, roll over, so the globalists can have the future.
I would just like to say the globalists are short-sighted too, because the thing is that you can't really separate yourself from civilization. So I think those who are sort of advocating like it's really I think it's just logical to be pro-civilization. You don't actually necessarily have to be altruistic. You just have to think long-term and say obviously you cannot exist in any good way without civilization. I mean, just watch one episode of Naked and Afraid and see how much you want to go live in a forest by yourself.
Well, we're in a super pivotal moment now. And the reason we're in a pivotal moment is because the machines cannot do the policing as of yet. My brother and I often talk about how bad COVID would have been if they had Terminator machines. You didn't have your mask on. You couldn't even appeal to the empathy of the person who knew how insane it all was. As soon as the machines control the policing, it's absolutely over. And we're not that far away. So we're in a very pivotal period now where the bravery that's required to resist the globalist oppression has to happen now. Soon the technology will exist. And it's over for everybody.
We are at critical crossroads right now in the entire future of the human destiny, and I called it Plan B, but I mean, Elon, what do you call it? Just an alternate plan for humanity? Because we can have a debate because the Black Rocks and the globalists are right now in control. If they were 100% control, you and others have felt rested to maybe they're in 80% control. They're losing control very quickly as people discover what they're doing. But what would you call the debate and discussion about a pro-human future? Just team humanity?
Yeah, team humanity. Absolutely. That sounds good. But I think like something that is really important is like you just literally have to have kids, or there's no next generation. Alex, do you have kids?
I feel like so far they just kind of glossed over the whole Alex Jones, Sandy Hook thing. I get it, they want to kind of forgive and forget, but it's a pretty big deal, him saying that about Sandy Hook.
Yes, I do. I'm not as prolific as you, but I wish I was. They're the best thing in my life. I have 4.
Okay, great. And Andrew?
I do have a few. I won't let you down, Elon. I'm coming. I'm
Okay,
coming to
good.
take over your title. I'm coming to take over. I'm doing my best. You know, I got to
Okay.
use my good looks for something.
Well, I think we need to.
I hear.
I think we ought to encourage people to have kids
And
and
this
just
is the bottom line argument. This is what is so important. We just talked about how the globalists are ultimately selfish and only care
Well,
about
look at
their own power and
most of the
control.
globalists don't have children,
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course,
but
because they're
here,
selfish.
here's the
when you
thing.
have a child.
You guys are all attacking the globalists, but if you ask a globalist, like I have friends who I would consider globalists. You ask them, their ideologies are aligned that they believe that somebody living across the world is just as valuable as somebody who lives in America. And I know, there's
They've already
arguments.
enslaved the third world, and they're
No,
using them as.
but that's not how everybody who you would categorize as
No, you're
a
right. There's a lot of
globalist
useful
thinks. No,
idiot globalists, but
that's
the
not.
globalists at the top are depopulationists. That's their
Oh,
religion.
maybe if you want to look at the top, you can say globalists at the top. Some of them might have that view, but if you just talk to an ordinary person who views themselves as a globalist, they're not saying, "Oh, I'm evil." They're not an evil person. They just have this belief that human being around the globe is equal. That's
I would
all
call
they're
that an
looking at. So
internationalist. That's an internationalist. A globalist wants one world government run by corporations.
yeah, well, I mean, I think you can label them differently, but I think if you talk to somebody who's
Well,
a
Henry
globalist, they're gonna.
Kissinger was a globalist. Zbigniew Brzezinski was a globalist. I'm not trying to be mean to you, but their number one rule is the Earth is too small. We can't expand. We've got to bean count and put everybody on rations. We've got to social engineer and end the normal human program because humans are failed and they want to turn us into factory farm humans. Those
Well,
are allowed to survive.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
I'll
let me
answer the
Well,
question. I'll answer the question
sorry
quickly.
guys, if I can just say like
Caffeine
some of
on
these
deck.
titles are a little confusing. So if you say someone's an internationalist or a globalist, I think what can achieve some disambiguation here is to say like does someone have as an axiomatic belief that there are too many people on the earth, or do they not? Do they believe that the earth can sustain the current population, or do they think it cannot? Now the reality is earth can actually handle a human population probably 10 times larger than the current
Yes.
population. Earth is actually very sparsely populated by humans. We only see density because if we're a dense urban environment like New York or
What happened? Oh, hell. Oh, that dropped out. For some reason, it's not loading. The heck? Alright, we're having some technical difficulties here. And refresh the page. Where's this thing? Alright, play the recording.
It's kind of crazy
We're
though.
around
Because
like
again, when
36.
it comes out, I think it's good to get a good counter review
There we
here.
go.
I think that there's two different things going on in it. I know what you're
trying to say, but there's a separate point about your obligations, right? So you can, and I believe everything has been said about the importance of expansionism for humanity being pro civilization and expansion pro human race to win. That's like a separate axis, though, from saying where are your obligations where you are, right? So we talked about procreation and family, then we talked about the nation. Well, look, I have 2 kids. As a father, my moral obligation, I believe, is first and foremost to my family. And then, let's say, as a president, my moral obligation is to the citizens of the nation that I lead. And then you can worry about hunger in the Congo or whatever else needs to happen in the Darfur or in other places. And so I don't think that you're saying necessarily that life.
Charity begins at home.
Exactly. And that's not saying that life abroad is any less valuable inherently.
And so when you say like the globalist view is
Ramaswamy really kills me when he talks. Everything he says has to be long and outdrawn and just goes on forever and never really makes his point. He's kind of killing me here.
that all it's saying is that all life is
equal wherever it is on Earth. It's not like I think the view, an alternative view, is countering that. There's also just a separate place in terms of where you're situated. Where's your obligation, right? As a father, it's to your family. As a president, it's to your country. And just because you believe that's the hierarchy of your obligations means somebody else is the leader of one of those other countries, and that's an obligation that they have too. But that's like a different discussion.
Well, the neoliberals,
Yep.
Vivek, the neoliberals in their own PR, they're the ones doing the worst things on the earth. They just say, "Oh, we want global government because we want to give Africa's representation." Then they lock them down for 3 years and starve 30 million of them to death, and then organize them to flood us as a political underclass. This is cold-blooded Henry Kissinger State Department Memorandum 200. I mean, they've got this.
It's not black and
I
white.
think there's two different conversations.
But what is black and
Wait,
what
but
is
can we
what
just?
is
I'm sorry.
what is
Just,
black?
Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead, Andrew, and then we'll go to Dave. Andrew.
Okay.
What I do believe is black and white is simply, if you read a history book, you'll see the worst things that humanity have ever done have been done with good intentions. That's what's so bad about evil acts, is that people
Road
think
to
they're
hell.
doing the right thing. And that's the most dangerous thing about it. And this idea that they look at all human life as sacred and all the same, I actually disagree. I think the reason they will prioritize people in a third world country, for example, you'll say it's because they see us as equal. I think it's because they see us now as spoilt and annoying. They don't like that we need pensions and living space and healthcare. They simply want slaves and a robot class, and they'll do anything it takes to get it, and they'll get it from anywhere they can. And when someone comes along and says, "Well, my intentions are good," I'm not interested in that, because you can name any Holocaust or any atrocity in history. The people didn't think they were the bad guys. They often thought they were the good guys. And I guess the easy way to look at life is you want to be having as many children as possible. You want to pray other people do the same, and you want those people to enjoy freedom. And anyone who's coming along restricting speech, restricting access to certain things, restricting movement, restricting, all they're doing is trying to restrict so they can control. And nobody in a history book ever who did that either was the good guy. I think it's very clear to see who's on the right side of history and who isn't. And I advocate freedom for everybody. If I disagreed with absolutely everything Alex said, I'd still be glad he's back on X. And these people can't even handle a different opinion. Do you think they're going to allow the people of a different opinion to them to share water or share food or share anything else once they have
And the
absolute
reason they
control?
don't want another opinion is they want to misrepresent what Elon Musk or Andrew Tate or Vivek Ramaswamy or any of. I'm telling you, they want us silenced so they can lie about what we said.
Yeah.
I have a quick.
I agree with you.
I have a. I have a
Hold
quick.
on. We'll go, Jackson. I'm going to go to you right after Dave.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I agree that with you there. I think that a lot of the media and a lot of these platforms do want to silence voices because they want their voice to be heard louder. So yeah, I definitely hear you there. I definitely don't. I definitely, as when it comes to globalists, I think, it's not black and white. You're not either a globalist or you're not. I think people fall in between, and there's different reasons for why people might feel one way about one.
Someone said in here that at one point you can hear Ramaswamy taking a piss, and I think that might have just been at that audio that cut in.
You could say globalist idea and another. So I mean, I don't like painting people like, with a black and white pen, because I feel that everybody falls somewhere in the middle.
All I know is this. That there are people that want a corporate world government whose aim is depopulation and not giving the general public access to technology by lying about resources and literally saying carbon dioxide that plants breathe is evil, and then telling us the world's going to end in 2030 and the ice caps are all going to melt, and none of that's true. So our children basically give up on the future and decide not to have children. That's all I'm saying. And Elon Musk is
Yes, you
promoting an
hear, that's it.
optimistic pro-human future that the science and evidence shows is real and that we need.
Gentlemen, I have to go.
Yeah, I just want to be sort of.
I don't know if that's confirmed, but that's definitely what was going around, that he was taking a piss there.
I mean, all humans, humans in America, humans in
Somebody's
Africa,
got their thing
Asia,
open.
and
Somebody's
everywhere
got
else.
their phone open in the bathroom.
Alex called him
Yeah,
out.
Vivek, that's your phone, Vivek. I'm not able to mute you. Vivek. Perfect. Go ahead, Elon.
Got him.
Sorry about that.
So, well, I hope you feel better.
I feel great. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys.
I'm super pro-human.
So he didn't even deny it. That's funny.
I think we want to make sure that people have a positive view of the future, and I think I encounter a lot of people who have actually very pessimistic conclusions about the future, and if you try to unpack that and say, where does that pessimism come from, and I think like these are like good people, like they have good intentions. I think they think about things and come from is believing that that there are too many humans on the planet. This is false. Earth can easily sustain far more than the current population. Um, and but they've been told this thing and they've believed it, and it is false.
I'm
Now
going to sign out,
I'm
gentlemen.
very pro environment. Obviously,
Bye,
I
Andrew.
think I might have done more about more. I'm certainly I might have done more for sustainable energy than maybe any single human. So I would consider myself an environmentalist, but I also believe in physics and reality and not sort of being alarmist about things.
Well, something you said was really smart, and because I've seen the equations. I'm not a mathematician or rocket scientist like you, but we need the fossil fuels to get to the new technologies and
that is
transfer
true.
over. You can't
Yes.
cut them all off and then not have it. They're blowing up the bridge that gets them there.
Gentlemen,
Yes,
what I would like to say,
go ahead.
my final point, I would like to say, I often get asked by people who follow me, they say, who do you think who controls the world? Who do you think the Matrix is? And I use the Matrix as a very simple way to explain that they purport a false version of reality that everyone buys into to keep your mind occupied so they can extract your body heat from you for the soulless machines, which are essentially the globalists we're talking about. And I try and say that I still believe that we run the world. There's a lot more of us than them. We still control the world. It's just down to what we will accept and what will allow them to do to us. And that's why bravery is so essential and so important. And I know I can come across as brash with my message, but
no, you're not. You need to
when I'm
stop
telling
giving up our power.
when I'm telling 16-year-olds to go and get rich and buy a fast car and train.
Damn, they cut out again? What the hell is going on? .144, let me refresh again. Oh, maybe my internet's messing up or something. I don't know. It could be anything.
They create a great reason.
You already answered that.
Yeah, I've already answered that.
Okay, so if that is the case,
and we will adhere to the law. That is what the platform will do. So if somebody says does something illegal, then they will be suspended. If they do not do something illegal, then we will try our best to avoid any kind of permanent bans unless someone does something fundamentally illegal.
Elon, I don't know. We don't. I know we don't.
We're just trying to stay true to the Constitution of the United States in America and the laws of the country as decided by the citizens.
Elon,
how are you? Go ahead, Alex.
And Elon, way more interesting. And I just asked one question of Elon. Elon, it's great having you here in Texas. You're kicking ass. You're Texas through and through. Your whole spirit. We love you. Whatever happens with Trump down the road, should we change the Constitution so you can run for president? Would you ever think about that?
I would like to stay as a technologist and build rockets and electric cars and things that technologies that hopefully have a good effect on the world and advance civilization. That would be my preference. I would not like to be president. So that would I would just like to build things that are further civilization. That's my goal.
I think that's a smart answer. Are you concerned if the deep state establishment, we know it's not just one group, is able to kill Trump or not let him run for office for the repercussions? I mean, are you optimistic for the future currently, or just how do you feel about the election coming up?
Well, I think it will not be a boring year. That's for sure. I think it's going to be eventful. I suspect. I don't know. You seem to be quite concerned that people will try to assassinate Trump, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, and I'm against assassination generally. So, I guess if Hitler was alive, I'd be in favor of assassinating him. But Stalin, that kind of thing.
I would be too. Your attitude is we can sell the world on freedom and humanity 2.0 and a new renaissance. The establishment will just step aside because our ideas are so good. Is that what you're saying?
Look, I think what I'm saying is that I think it is very difficult to predict the future. That we're certainly going to have.
Oh my god, what is going on with this thing? Oh hell.
Bravery and luck.
But that's very big, so that's pretty frankly. But yeah, so it'll be cool, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's just fascinating how far space is. I remember being on space since the early days, pre-Elon, to see how far it's gone and to be able to have discussions like this. I don't think the audience understands. There's never been any platform where voices from all sides, voices that were sensitive, we're all speaking in one place.
Oh, let me be clear. There's been more innovation Elon took over than the whole
I'll jump on, but I just want to say thanks to
Elon. The rather embarrassing Ron DeSantis situation. It's like, I mean, I really have to credit the X team for making massive improvements to spaces, because it basically did not work at scale until a massive amount of work was put into it. It obviously broke rather embarrassingly in the Ron DeSantis situation. And we didn't realize how fragile and weak it was. And since then, we've put massive work into making spaces actually robust and be able to have, you can have, at this point, millions of people listening simultaneously.
Let me be
which is
clear,
quite
Elon.
difficult to do.
Elon, I've never seen an interface that works this good. I mean, you've got a whole how you're doing this. And General Flynn did bring up the best question in the last 2 hours. So I'm sorry I was like getting so excited I interrupted the general. He's absolutely right. We should be challenging them to debate us. I agree with you, General. That's really a key point. I'm saying they're too cowardly to do
Jack,
it. How do we?
Jack, your mic, you mute it. I can't mute you, Jack. But yeah, go ahead. Just quickly, before you continue, Alex, Elon, I don't know if you remember, I think the first space you came on and we hit 100K live listeners and it broke, so it wouldn't show.
Yeah. True.
I don't know how you do it, Alex.
109,000 right now, 109,000.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, but I know that it's that we have to do it. We don't have I think we are in a place where we don't have a choice right now. I think the intellectual arguments on their side, I just think that they're going to fall flat, and they don't really have a good argument. And Elon mentioned it early on about, how much energy it takes to lie. I mean, it just does, to lie to so many damn people. But we have to pick this fight. It has to be intellectual. Our intellectual arguments are much, much stronger. And I just think we have to have the right type of people. And, those people have been on here today and invite these people. I mean, if they don't want to come, we call them out as cowards. I mean,
wait a minute. Being poor and everybody, wait a minute. General Flynn, hold on a minute. I'm going to call you out right now. Eating bugs, drag queen story time, open borders, World War III. You're saying that's not how you're saying their plan isn't wonderful?
Hey, for a guy that has had to eat bugs, Alex, they don't taste very good. So, yeah.
I'll go one step further. I think we should see a 2v2 MMA duel between Elon and Alex versus Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates. I think that'd be the real.
I think Elon should call them out. It'll be bigger than the top UFC fight if those cowards will show up. My God, it'll be
destroyed.
Elon, you know how the media works. Do you want to call them out and then you'll get that snippet all over the media?
Well, I'm certainly happy to have a debate with Klaus Schwab or others. I think you guys maybe been following what's going on in Davos more than I have, and certainly more than the vast majority of people have. I think most people don't even know that there is a conference in Davos or the World Economic Forum. And I've only seen snippets, but some of the snippets are concerning, and I don't think we should have a sort of an unelected quasi-governmental organization deciding our future. Who said who made them the boss? I mean, do people even know that they're doing this? I'm not okay with some organization, that I don't vote for, controlling my destiny or that of other people. So, and that, I don't know if they're necessarily fully controlling, but they certainly are influencing things. And and it's I just don't. I think an unelected world government is not a good idea.
Well,
But
Klaus Schwab,
how much
Klaus
how
Schwab
much
and
but
Elon Musk.
They just talked about X being such a great platform with the best user interface, but yet this shit keeps freezing on me. When it comes to like social media, YouTube doesn't freeze like this. So I don't know if my internet connection is just complete shit, but look, when it comes to X, like I can't even refresh the page. YouTube works fine for me, but this shit is not working. Let's try the second one. See, look, these are like playing at the same time. I don't know what's going on here.
Or a false version of reality.
Say, so I'm asking you to turn, and they really wanted me to come talk there, but also pay them $20,000. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So I declined the invitation. Now it does seem that since inception, perhaps this organization has gained a bit too much power, and a bit too much influence. And I think it probably, it should have less power and influence, is my opinion.
Elon, I have
see,
a
Jeremy,
quick question. You tweeted about the imprisonment of the American Chilean Gonzalo Lira in Kharkiv, Ukraine, yesterday. I'm curious if that imprisonment of an American for speaking his mind on YouTube and X has caused you to consider further support for Ukraine, albeit through Starlink or other means. And also, unrelated to that, can you provide any updates about Starlink for Gaza?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I generally think, look, I understand that if an American citizen is in another country and violates that country's laws, or what those countries' laws, even if their actions would not violate the laws in the United States, that person would then be put in prison. But in the case of Ukraine, the United States is providing a vast amount of aid to Ukraine, and the United States government has an obligation to protect its citizens. And so I think, even if one disagrees with what that I guess YouTuber or journalist, depending on your perspective, what they posted, I feel uncomfortable sending massive aid to Ukraine if they're putting American citizens in jail for doing videos on YouTube. That's not cool. And it's like, and you could say like, okay, well, yeah, but Ukraine has the sovereignty in their country. It's like, yeah, but they don't have a right to our money as well. So it's like, they don't have a right to our money and support and to imprison and mistreat American citizens.
Well, that's right. And look,
Pick
I don't
one.
have a dog in the fight. Russia, Ukraine. It's an old ancient fight between the two countries that's been going on for 1,000 years. It's a Slavic civil war, but Ukraine is arresting the Orthodox Church. Ukraine, even the mayor of Kiev has said Zelensky's becoming a dictator. So all I'm saying is this black hole we're feeding hundreds of billions into, we should at least be able to debate it. And if an American journalist is critical, he doesn't deserve to be put in a gulag. That is very dangerous. I agree, Elon.
And as for Starlink for Gaza,
Yeah, and on the Starlink for Gaza front, I mean, obviously that place is currently a war front next level. So in order for Starlink to be used in Gaza, terminals have to be brought in, and they have to be, used in a way that where it is where it is, there's a high degree of certainty that they are not being used for any violence.
Just hit halfway.
So now there are only
2,500 steps.
really two ways to get into Gaza. One is through Egypt, and the other is through Israel. So if there was like a situation where, say, Egypt was willing to let a Starlink terminal in, and that we could have very high certainty that the terminal would not be used for any kind of military purposes or for violence, then we would support that. Egypt has not stepped forward, to the best of my knowledge, in that regard, and obviously we're not going to be played for fools here, where if an organization would perhaps pretend to be using Starlink for peaceful purposes, but then actually use it for violent purposes, we will basically ask for a webcam on that thing 24/7, and if there's the slightest concern about it being used for violent means, it would be turned off. So that's the situation there. I mean, it is a very difficult situation, and I am sympathetic to Israel, but I also I'm sympathetic to civilians in Gaza. So it's not. I'm pro human, to be clear.
100%.
And so
Elon.
Yeah.
It's just like, here's the deal. I'm not pro-Russian. I'm not pro-Ukraine. I hate the war. I'm pro all of them. I agree. But when you learned that they were using Starlink to rig up robot boats to blow up battleships when Russia said they were going to launch nukes if they did, you didn't sign up Starlink to be a weapon system. It's very fair to say it's my company. It's my.
Well, yes. To be clear, the Crimea and the sort of sea around Crimea was an officially sanctioned area by the United States, and we were not actually the Starlink cells were not turned on in Crimea and the area around Crimea because of U.S. law would prevent us from doing so. There was a Ukrainian attempted attack on the fleet in Sevastopol, and I got an emergency call saying, like, hey, we need to turn on the cells around Sevastopol. And I'm like, well, that's currently a U.S. sanctions zone. We would need permission from the U.S. government to do so. And in fact, I don't, and it would also mean that we are directly complicit in an attack on the Russian fleet directly. It wouldn't be, there's no plausible deniability here. Now, if even though I'm not the biggest fan of President Biden, but if President Biden had called and said, as the as the President of the United States, I'm asking you to turn the cells on, I would have done so. But we did not get any such call. We were only called by the Ukrainian government, and the Ukrainian government is not my boss. So, it's like, and so we can't, it would actually be illegal for me to turn on Starlink cells at the request of a foreign government in a sanctioned territory sanctioned by the United States. That would actually be a violation of U.S. law. So it's like
they were setting you up like Cindy Bay of Pigs.
Yeah, but the media misrepresented it as I turned off the cells. This is not true. They were never on.
They did do that. We're reading about that.
And if I turned them on, I would have broken U.S. law. And I would need an exemption from the State Department and express written permission from the president in order to do.
And that's why Blinken.
Yeah. So, and I do think we need to be cautious about escalating that war, and we need to find a path to peace, and not sacrifice the flower of Ukrainian and Russian youth. Ultimately for nothing, or for a few miles of territory, which is currently what's been going on for the past year.
Do you think with the sentiment?
I've got a question.
Let me go to CJ and I'll go to you. Let me go to CJ and I'll go to you right after. CJ.
Mario.
Hey, Mario. Thank you.
Laura,
thank you so
go
much.
ahead, CJ.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mario, for hosting this. Elon, my name is CJ Pearson. I'm a 21-year-old conservative activist, and I currently work at Prager University, and General Flynn made a really important point a little bit earlier about how Twitter has made it super accessible for conversations like this to happen, debates and discourse. And Alex, I think, also made the point earlier that if you look at the debates and the viewership that they've had, you don't really see them reaching all that many young people via traditional cable channels. And one idea that conservative activists like myself have had, different Gen Z conservative influencers have had, is having a Gen Z moderated debate or town hall with the Republican primary candidates and exclusively streaming it here on X. What would you think about something like that? Do you think that would be a way for America's next generation to hear different ideas that they obviously aren't hearing currently on their college campuses?
Well, actually, I don't believe in exclusivity, but I think that that not doing it on the X platform makes no sense. Things should be done on the X platform because it is the most widely accessible platform. It is where you will see it has by far the most reach. The X platform has by far the most reach of anything. You know that you know, although like I don't this conversation, I don't know, might top out at maybe a few 100,000 people live, but it will probably go viral afterwards, and I don't know, probably have 10 million people
12
listen to
million
it, or
and a half people. That's
Elon,
okay.
on the Mutiny space, we had 18 million listeners from memory.
Yeah, no,
when we did the Russian
exactly.
Mutiny.
So I mean, the way to think of this platform is that there, on an average day, there are over 250 million people on the platform. That's an average day. Some days it's more like 300 or 400 million, and a really crazy day could be like 500 million. So I mean, we're you know, at times we're starting to approach 10% of all humans who are online are on the platform.
Well, Elon,
So it's a very
bottom
big
line,
number. And we're not
Elon,
even, and we're obviously not active in China. It's not, you know, X doesn't work in China. Actually, it works on international phones, but not domestic phones. And I believe it is also does not work in Russia. So, uh, so that's it's more. I think we do exceed 10% of all humans at times on this platform. So it seems crazy to ignore this platform because then you're just going to reach far fewer people.
well, Elon, bottom line here, the proof is in the pudding. You judge a tree by its fruits. You are the only massive platform that's open and free. People are hungry. It's exploding. This is the example for the world, and we're trying to stop war. We're trying to create a pro-human future. This is what this is really all about. I've been very honored.
Alex, before you're honored, just to give you an idea of how Spaces works, and just in the last couple of hours, that was meant to be an interview with you. Then Elon jumped on, Andrew Tate, his brother. We just had Vivek jump on, and Matt Gaetz just jumped on as well.
Loved it.
And that's one thing. One thing with Space, you just never know who could come up. Matt, how are you?
I'm great. I'm enjoying hearing Elon's perspective on adding value to all of our followerships and allowing us to engage.
Your thoughts on Alex Jones being back on the platform?
I think it's great. Alex has been someone who's provoked a lot of critical thinking from policymakers and broad audiences. You know, of course, there are things that I'm going to say that would offend people, things that Alex would say that would offend people, but I think they'll just have to be offended. I think it enriches the discussion to have Alex back.
Suleiman?
Yeah, I've got a few questions. My first question is, we've seen extremely positive steps in terms of the return of Alex Jones. We've seen the return of Andrew Tate. We've seen the return of President Trump. And so X is definitely moving towards a free speech platform. My question is, when will we be able to get to a situation where it's completely free speech and it's just based solely on following the legal laws of the country? I know it's a process and it takes time, but how far do we envision this happening? How far in the future?
Well, I mean, I think we've made dramatic progress over the past year. You know, it's only been a year since the acquisition closed, and it's been quite difficult to. We had to not just keep the wheels on the bus, but upgrade the bus while it's going down the highway.
While Elon's cut out, Thomas Jefferson said, "We will not be transported to a state of liberty on a feather bed." Go. Is Elon back?
No, I think he might have gotten a call. No, you're back, Elon.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm just saying it's been, you know, quite difficult to keep the wheels on the bus and upgrade the bus while barreling down the highway at 100 miles an hour. So that's kind of where but I think we've made tremendous progress in a year, and I think that progress I think is accelerating. So and we keep cleaning up the code base and simplifying it and providing more transparency and providing more clarity and obviously improving freedom of speech and getting closer and closer to the law. And I just want to say, with respect to the law, I am a strong believer in the law. So you'll sometimes read an article where it sounds like I'm some crazy maverick who just likes breaking the law. It's like I am subject to so many laws that I might be hundreds of thousands of laws, maybe millions. When you think about Tesla and SpaceX and Starlink and all the countries that they're in and all the regulatory regimes and all the rules and regulations that we have to adhere to, and the amazing thing is how closely we actually adhere to the law and follow the law, and do what countries believe is right and legal, and once in a while, in a very rare case, I might disagree with the law or regulation, but we will not willfully violate it. So, or but so what I'm trying to say is I'm extremely law abiding. and,
Elon,
and, and,
Elon, I totally agree with you. I don't know how you have the energy. People talk about Trump's energy. Your energy is insane. Where does your energy come from? Going back to being a child, did you kind of, because we know the universe is a
Dunkin'
loop or a
Donuts.
figure eight, it doesn't just go in one direction. Did you have inklings of the big things you were going to do, or when you were a child, did you have any like foresight about what you were going to be doing?
No, not really. I just I liked technology and like taking devices apart and fixing them and building things, and uh, I loved science fiction, fantasy, like Lord of the Rings and Heinlein and Asimov and Star Trek and Star Wars, and um, that's and I didn't know what I was going to do. I like programming computers. I found programming computers to be intrinsically interesting. Not because I thought I'd have a job. Actually, I didn't think I'd have a job. I know you could even make money writing computer software, but I was just interested in it in and of itself. So I'd program computers all night by myself, which is not, it doesn't appeal to everyone. That's, I think, actually quite an unusual thing, to want to sort of type strange symbols into a computer all night, essentially by yourself, is a well, not what most people want to do, but I did like doing that, and but also like hanging out with friends and stuff. But no, I didn't think any of this would happen. I would say I have a philosophy of curiosity, which is that trying to understand more about the nature of the universe and our place in it, and that's why I studied physics, not for career reasons, just try to understand how the universe actually works, and what has good predictive value, and physics has got very good predictive value, so that's why I studied it.
Then
And
give us your predictive value, gut level. Elon Musk. I mean, this is like beyond any Hollywood movie where we're at right now. Does humanity survive? Gut level. You've got all these great children. That means you bet on humanity. Do we make it to the next level? And what is the next level?
Elon, you there?
He cut out again.
sorry,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So one needs to think of the future as probabilities and not certainties. So then, any given action that we do can affect the probability of a good outcome. There are no certainties, that I can determine, or at least I do not have a crystal ball that can
So
predict
we're
what's.
changing the future.
Yes, I think by our actions, we can individually um, take actions that improve the probability of a good future, and the furtherance of civilization. And I think we should, take those actions. And some of that involves we got to have kids, or there won't be a next generation. Um, and we've got to, educate them well, and I think, like I said,
So don't hold. Let me say this
grow
point. Let me ask you this.
civilization. Yeah.
Let me ask this question, Elon, because you're obviously a genius. We're here talking to you right now. Don't predict the future. Be the future.
Yes. The best way to the best way to I think, and I forget who came up with this, but the best way to predict the future is to create it.
Yes.
I do want to. Jason Calacanis is here, and they've started. Yeah, let me go to Jason quickly, Salaman. I'll go to you in a bit. Jason, a quick question to you first. Would you have Alex Jones on the All In podcast? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Well, I have him here now, so would it be okay if I asked him three questions?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, but Elon's far more fascinating. Please ask Elon questions.
Jason.
Well, Alex, my first question for you.
1,000 more steps to go.
I'm curious if you'd be willing to answer three questions about the Sandy Hook parents.
Oh, great. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you now have your freedom of speech and you're here. So I think a lot of people are wondering what theory or evidence led you to believe that that was a
There you go. Grill him on this.
Staged situation.
He's already answered these questions.
Yeah, every time.
Well, no, but we're here on Spaces for the first time. Let's ask them.
No, he already answered this like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah. Let me answer this. Everything I say is misrepresented. You'll say I'm saying it again. I believe it happened, and I'm sorry, and I apologize, and I'm done.
Okay. And so what did you get wrong about that situation? Like what led you? Because you've investigated these situations many times, right? That's kind of what you do as a journalist or an entertainer. And so what did you get wrong there? And then
Elon,
what real world harm did it do?
Let me answer your question. I respect Elon. I answered this question. I said it's probably the last time I'll ever talk about it. I'm not going to live in Groundhog Day. I believe Sandy Hook happened. I've been through hell over it. I was not the guy that first questioned it. PR firms blew it up and made it my identity. It's not my identity. My identity is humans' future, Team Human. What Elon Musk is doing, I'm never talking about it again. That's your answer.
Got it. Okay. So what would you do differently in the future, when going after some conspiracy theory like this? And do you believe that when you go after these conspiracy theories, they can have real world harm? I.e., your fans knocking on the door of Sandy Hook parents.
Yeah, I get it. If I would comment on what people are saying on the internet, when something has 50 million views, I will be blamed for their questioning. So I'm very careful about that now. I didn't realize I had 30 million viewers a day back then because I wasn't looking at the analytics. But yeah, I've learned a lot of lessons that the media and PR firms will misrepresent what I'm saying to then attach themselves to me and play victim. So I'm not talking about it. I won't even say the name of it. What I will say is I'm at X right now, and it's blowing up and taking the planet back for humanity at Real Alex Jones. People should follow it there and hear what I actually say, and I don't talk about the school shooting. That is not who I am. That's what PR firms.
Yeah, Jason, I should say that the Sandy Hook issue was the first thing I raised with Alex. He did answer it at length at the beginning of this Spaces the conversation. So I think you may not have heard the.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear the start of it. I was alerted to this towards the end. I think the issue, Elon, candidly,
I'm not saying I'm not commenting whether I agree or disagree with his answer, but it was the very first thing that I asked when I got on this Spaces conversation. Just as it was the first thing that you asked, I think it's for people that care about whether there's sort of empathy and whether somebody has been cruel or mean or something. That's like the first thing they're going to ask about, and so that was the first thing I asked about, and it was answered. Once somebody can agree with that answer or not,
and no matter how many
times I did ask it.
No matter how many times I answer it, it's never good enough because I'm that guy. I'm not what they said. I covered the internet questioning it. I've already said I'm sorry over 500 times, 3 or 4 times today, but it's always the same question. I'm not that guy. I won't even say the name of it.
Yeah, I think people actually will eventually get tired of you answering the question.
When is that? 5,000 years?
I think for someone who started out who's listened to the whole Spaces, they probably are actually tired of you answering the question. To be frank,
I certainly am.
Patrick, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Fantastic. I don't have any questions. I just have a comment to make. The biggest thing is, and I heard Jason's question, and I know Alex answered it at the beginning with Elon, opening it up with him. I had Alex on. I don't know, Alex. It was a couple months ago or something. You were on. We had a great exchange together. The best part about this is the following. I applaud Elon for the fact that just a few months ago he said he's not going to have Elon on, he's not going to have Alex on, and then after seeing what the audience wants, the survey comes to 70-30, and keeping that commitment for allowing Alex to be on. The people who have different strong opinions, who are humanists, who want to defend freedom of speech, defend the same rights that we have, we're finding each other. And I just want everybody to remember this. Go back to September of 2022, when Professor Galloway said Elon is full of it, he's not going to buy it, he's toying with all of you. And then Elon bought the company, whatever the price of the company was. Some said it was 50% more. It was a $20 billion company, $30 billion company. He paid the entire number. He didn't have to do this. If that purchase wasn't to be made, think about where America would be today. I want everybody to think about that part. It's been 13 months since then. It's pissed a lot of people off. The fact that, Elon, I applaud you for standing up to folks who you're saying what you're saying to advertisers, where what do you have to do? Be a slave to them? They have to constantly put that fear in you. We applaud you. You got a lot of people backing you up. Alex, it's great to have you back on. Pushing the envelope. You could be wrong. Everybody could be wrong. It's not like all of us are always right. We have the ability to be wrong. And when we are, and people can challenge us and move on, and then they can make a decision. Either, look, I don't like Alex, or I like Alex. Great, no problem. That's the freedom of, you have to pick and choose to like somebody's views or not. But the biggest factor here is somebody had the courage to use their resources to buy a platform like this, to give everybody else the freedom to debate, to argue, to give their thoughts, to give their opinions. And then at the same time, if you're wrong, you admit to it. If you're not, you stick to your guns. But best part on what's going on to the world right now is we are finding each other. The fighters are finding each other. And that has got to be a very scary thing to people who oppose the concept of freedom of speech. So I have no question for Alex. I have no questions for Elon. I just wanted to jump in and applaud everybody, even those who debate, even those who agree, even those who disagree. Future looks bright. The right people are finding each other. And I applaud all of you. That's all I wanted to say. So,
Patrick, beautifully said, brother.
my man.
And remember, Patrick, I apologize for Sandy Hook on your show 5 years ago. Remember that,
I
Patrick?
remember that. I remember that.
Patrick, question for you then. You've been here a few times and you've uploaded Spaces and X. When is the show? I think you've got 2 million subscribers on YouTube. When will the X version launch?
When will the X version launch? I've never had a conversation with Elon. We've never had a sit down. I totally support what they're doing. Right now, what we're doing is we're starting to upload all our episodes on X, as well as we're putting on other platforms. But the direction this is going, with a few asks that was made where we can now watch the video on 2.0 speed. I'm a 2.0 speed guy.
X
I like
marks
to speed
the
it up.
spot. X marks the spot. X is it.
No, I totally see it going that direction, but no, I mean, look, look what's going on right now. Look at this live. How many people are on right now? I don't know what the number is.
118,000.
119,000 on a Sunday, where I'm sitting in my backyard right now watching my 4 kids play soccer, and we're able to jump on and have a conversation like this. This is insane. The power of what's going on with this.
This is the future.
I think this is just the beginning, and the right guy is driving it. So, future looks bright.
Sev?
Yeah, this question is for Mr. Musk and Mr. Gates. So during the 2020 election cycle, we saw a lot of people be either deplatformed or noted for making claims of election fraud. Now, at the time that those claims were made, there was no way of knowing they were true or untrue because they hadn't been litigated yet. So going forward, as we're coming into a new election cycle, Mr. Gates, is there anything being done legislatively or in the House to ensure that that doesn't happen again? And the same question would go to Mr. Musk. Thank you.
The strongest, I think, influence on that censorship regime right now is the Missouri v. Biden, litigation and the injunctions there that are being resolved, and some sort of the public humiliation we've put some of the senior DOJ and FBI leadership through as they've had to fess up to the nature of some of these emails and contacts. We've brought the journalists that have been covering this, Schellenberger and Taibbi, forward to kind of repeatedly try to set that deterrent. But I think that it's not just about elections. I mean, it can be about any number of the things that the federal government wants to control the four corners of discourse on. And these.
I think we pretty much get the point of this podcast here, and we will move on to something different next time. But that's pretty much it. Got my 5,000 steps in. Good to go.